Greed is the idea that I need things to be able to be totally complete. If I could only have more things, then I would be satisfied. And there is a very serious problem that we have. Greed is this idea that however I would define things, then those things are going to complete me. But what we would say is that things never complete the person. There's always this radical chasm between things and persons. Greed is not just trying to survive, trying to be able to hold off what may seem like to be something that's inevitable disaster. Greed is control. Greed is a misplacement of thinking that I can be able to be a full person with things rather than being a full person with persons. The problem is that one is never satisfied. It was put very well that greed is really drinking salt water. You look as if you're going to be satisfied, but you're always thirsty for more. It was T.S. Eliot who said, "A man is no fool to let go of that which he cannot keep and to hold on to that which he cannot lose." I hate to tell you, but the things of this world, they're going. Our Lord said that all the things of this world are going, and it's true. Whether you're Newton talking about the second law of thermodynamics and entropy, that all things wind down, or whether you're a person that knows somebody who's died, right? Anytime somebody inherits something, it should give you a chill about your own mortality. Because if you've ever attended a funeral, I've never seen a U-Haul follow the hearse. The toleration of greed waxes and wanes, depending on how much we have within our society. In a society where we're literally trying to barely make it, greed is something that seems to detract from everyone else's possibilities of survival. So it looks as if we're in a zero-sum game. In other words, I only get ahead by taking what you've got, right? And if I'm going to get ahead, I've got to step on you, right? Whereas in a wealthy society such as ours, it seems that everybody can be able to achieve the fabulous. The so-called American dream. Even though we know it's probably not going to happen, that everybody's going to live on Rodeo Drive or whatever, but we feed into that dream. So that allows us to be more tolerant of greed. Why? Because it really doesn't affect me as much. Or I think that I can do the same thing. And anybody who goes in and buys lottery tickets, by the handful, is sharing in that dream and that greed. Okay, in a way, it's a little bit of a harmless fantasy if it's not much out of your wallet, and you're not taking food out of your children's mouths. But in another way, it says, well, we can all be greedy together. We have, I hope, the beginning of a heightened awareness that we can't all live, as rapacious consumers, whether it's our machines guzzling gasoline or whether it's ourselves guzzling calories or anything else. I mean, how many big screen TVs do you really need? If you look at the foreclosure crisis in the United States right now, what was the problem? The problem wasn't that it's a bad thing to want houses, but does everybody need huge McMansions? When you look at the size of the houses, more and more space in a house for fewer and fewer people. Extremely hard to differentiate between needs and desires. And, we think we're better than our children because we teach children that your desires are not your needs, and yet we give way to it all the time. It's a very hard problem. One of the ways that you can tell if a person is living a virtuous life is they tend to moderate their desires. They moderate their desires because they recognize that unless I learn to moderate my desires, unless I learn to deny myself, I won't be able to differentiate between needs and desires. The difficulty of asking people why they are trying to amass wealth or goods or control over sectors or whatever it is such that I think most people can't ask it because very few people are self-reflective. Very few people. The start of all philosophy is to know thyself. Not many people would think that, obsessively trying to gain more and more money is hoarding, but in a way it is hoarding. It seems to be less physical, but the effects are the same. St. Paul said, "Be ambitious for the higher gifts, and I shall show you how to get more than any." And then he talked about love. Because avarice, greed, is a question of being counteracted by liberality, isn't it? Right? I'm generous with my gifts, as God is generous with his gifts. And everything we have is from God. So too, you're called to be generous. Ambition can be a good thing if you are ambitious for the higher gifts. It's a sad thing to see somebody who does not live up to her potential. It really is a sad thing. But not only can you do more, you should do more. So when somebody says to me, I don't know, I can do this or this, and I say, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a businessman. Well, be the best businessman you can. You know, I talk to a lot of political people. Be the best politician you can, because we need good politicians. We need you to be ambitious so that you can do the good. And you need to be able to attain certain levels in whatever work you're in to be able to achieve the best of the good. You have a duty to be able to achieve what it is you're called to achieve. So if a person is supposed to be the best priest that they can be, if they're supposed to be the best teacher they're supposed to be, the best mother they're supposed to be, the best cameraman that they're supposed to be, then not to do that is to sin, because you're throwing your gifts away, right? So ambition is a necessary and a good thing, because you've got to know where you're going.